Hey everyone, it's Cassie and welcome back to my YouTube channel for another Simon Hurley Create video. Today we're going to be using the Gnome Party stamp set. I love this stamp set. I think it could be great for spring cards, for fall cards, for summer, well, and we're going to use it for Christmas. And I love that it has some two-step stamping and these cute little gnomes that I'm going to use one as an elf. We're also going to be bringing in the Posh Poinsettas stamp set for the sentiments along with the little heart that is in this set because, as I said, I want to make a Christmas card. And of course we have some stark white cardstock and we're going to make it a light up, so we're going to use the easy lights. And if you've never seen me use those before, you're in for a little treat because they're quite easy. And if you have, well then you're not going to be so surprised. Alright, I've got a piece of that stark white cardstock in my Mini Misty. This one's trimmed down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, so it's a little bit smaller than an A2 size card. And I'm just trying to place the little mushroom home on there because like I said, want to make a little bit of a scene. And so we're going to ink this up with some blackout ink by Ink on 3, and then I'll just stamp that down right into the center. And then I'm also going to take a piece of masking paper. This is actually the Avery removable ID labels that I'm just stamping that down. That's why it's so light. And I'll cut that out later. And now for one of my favorite parts of the stamp is the two-step stamp. So we're going to fill in the little cap on the mushroom by stamping this with some bee sting ink. I'm going to stamp that twice just to make sure that that is nice and covered. And it looks great like that. But this is where I'm going to add some of that game over. It's a little bit darker red. I'm just adding it to the edges. I'll try and wipe away some of the center so that it's not like it's more of a organic line. And then I'll stamp that down. You can see the difference. So it adds that nice dark to the edges and it makes it just seem that much more 3D. So I did it one more time and then we'll clean up our mess and we'll start cutting out our mask. Now, as I cut out this mask, I'm cutting right on that line to prevent any ghosting. And then as you see on the side, I have another panel that's kind of cut with a slope in it. That's going to be our snow in the background. So I'll peel off the release paper for our mushroom and put that down. And then peel off the release paper for our snow and I'll put that down. And I'm even going to bring in some of that leftover piece that I had so I can cover up the very, very bottom. Just for ink blending, it wouldn't make a difference, but I do plan to do some splatter and I don't want splatter on that bottom section. So I'm going to peel off the release paper on some scrap and just add that to the bottom. Now I'm bringing in a couple more Simon Hurley Create inks. This first one is Remember Me, and I'm just putting it on the outside edge of our mushroom. And then I'll bring in that Midnight Snack, which is that beautiful navy blue, and I'll bring that into the edges. So this is just going to give it a little bit of a glow because I want this, since this is a light up card, or going to be a light up card, I want there to look like there's a little bit of glow around the home when the lights are on. So we're just adding that really dark, beautiful midnight sky. So my point in this was I was trying to make this look like it's maybe at the North Pole, who knows, even though I don't think they live in mushroom homes. I just thought it would be fun, and it's nighttime. So here we have that beautiful dark navy blue, bringing in a little bit more of the Remember Me just to make sure that I have that blended well. And then I'm going to put this into my makeshift splatter box, and I will bring out some Brutus Monroe Pearl Aqua Pigment and then splatter that all over that background for some either snow or stars or whatever you want to say, see in it. So then I'm going to take that off and very carefully peel off the masks. Normally I would save my mask, but this one got wet and very inked up, so I'm not going to save it. But we'll peel that back and throw that away and check it out. That looks so cool. So I thought I had my camera going. Turns out I didn't. So you missed some of the coloring, but it's pretty simple coloring. I just used a couple of greens. I think it was the G19 and G28. And then for the pants, it was R27 and R59. And then I'm bringing in the E99 for his beard and his mustache. And then we'll just bring in some more of that E27 for the tongue. And then I will cut that out later. For the mushroom, I did add a little bit of shadowing around the edges of the mushroom, just using an E41. And then I used some Y06 for the lights. And then I'm going to come in and use some browns. Sorry I wasn't real good at showing you what the colors were. I believe this one was a E29 going around the outside edge of the windows. And then we'll use it on the door, but we're going to start with some E57 for the door itself. And I do go outside the lines a little bit, but that's going to get covered by our little elf. And then I bring in that E29 again and go around the door jamb, and then adding a little bit of shadowing to the door itself. And then I will blend that out with the E57, and our scene will be almost done after I add some W4 to the chimney. I've fussy cut out my little elf, and now we have to add some holes. So I've got my paper piercer, and I'm just putting a couple of holes, one on each of the windows. And you can't really see them, but you'll see them once we add the lights. I'm going to bring in this little heart from the Posh Poinsettas stamp set. This is going to be where we're going to press for our mechanism. So I'm doing 2nd, 3rd, and 4th generation stamping, which all that means is I just don't re-ink my stamp. And so that's going to be where the recipient would press to get the lights going. And these are the easy lights. So I will pull out the battery, and then I'm going to break apart the mechanism. There's 4 mechanisms there. I'll just break one apart and carefully pull out the lights. Each one has 3 lights on it, and it's so easy to put together. All you're going to do is you're going to take your battery, which has a positive and a negative, and you're going to line up the plus sign on that battery with where the plus sign would be on the mechanism. Push that in place, press the little purple button, and everything's working. Just that easy. Now we're going to grab some double-sided tape, and we are going to put that on the back of the mechanism. I like to put my mechanism up against the edge so that if the recipient wants to change out the battery, they certainly can. So it's just a really easy way to do it. I don't think I ever started out doing that, but the more that I've made these, that is something that I have learned. I like to keep it towards the edge. All right, so I'll just tack that down with that double-sided adhesive, and I'm always checking my mechanism to make sure everything's still working. And then I'm going to take some more of that double-sided adhesive and put it right up against each light as I get that light lined up with each hole that I poked in. So just grabbing little pieces for that. I'm not worried about the cords. That'll be my last step for this. So once all the lights are in place and they're poked through each of those holes and everything is glued in place, I check the mechanism. And then now I'll just wind up all of my wires, which looks like a hot mess, but nobody's going to see it, so it doesn't matter. And then I'll tack that down with some washi tape. I'll add another piece here in a second, but that's all it takes. And you're ready to go. My next step would be to take some double-sided foam tape, and you could double up the foam tape that you might have. If you have scotch, just double it up. But I have foam tape that is 3 millimeters deep or thick. And that's what you would want. The reason you want to do that is because if you send this through the mail, you want to make sure that nothing's getting crushed, that your mechanism and your lights are all, cushioned. And so I make sure and put that all over the back, just avoiding the lights themselves. I forgot to stamp the sentiment on there, so I'll have to be creative with that later. But here's my card base, some more of the Simon Hurley Creates dark white cardstock that I cut down to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and I'm scoring it at 4 1/4. And now I'm going to pull out one of the sentiments that I want to stamp on the inside. And I'm just going to use that bee sting ink again, just to stamp that on the inside of my card. I just love these light up cards. I want to make them all for my nieces and nephews, and they're fun. I mean, heck, even adults love them. Stamping out the sentiment for the outside, which is sending warm hugs and holiday kisses. And then I'll put this into my guillotine trimmer and trim that out. But I do like that this stamp set can be so versatile for each of the different seasons if you wanted it to be. All right, I'll peel off all the release paper on my foam tape and get ready to adhere this down to my card base, remembering that this is not the full size of an A2 size card, so there's going to be a little bit of a white border. Love that. Checking my mechanism again. And then we'll pull out our glue and we'll adhere down our sentiment, and we'll also adhere down our little elf. I love that you can change him from a gnome to an elf or whatever you want. And then it's at this point I decide I want to add a little snow. So I'm going to take some Nuvo drops, and this is the color Simply White. And it will look like snow at first. As it dries, it's going to pick up some of that bee sting color underneath, which really doesn't bother me too much. It'd be like just the roof is showing through. And then I'm going to put some down at the bottom, but I don't want to stop there. I do want to add a little bit of shimmer to that. So I'm going to pull out some Lawn Fawn chunky glitter and just sprinkle that all over those drops, and then just, dust off the excess. and put that back in the container. But once I'm done with that, that's going to finish off our card. I love it. I have another Christmas card to add to my collection of Christmas cards that are getting ready to be sent out. And there it is, a light up. So if you liked this video, I would love it if you hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. I usually have about 3 to 4 videos a week, and I'd be so happy to have you around. Thank you guys so much for all the liking and subscribing and using my affiliate links and everything that you guys do. It keeps me producing videos. So thank you guys, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye everybody.